السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال الله: واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال الله: اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, we seek His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides, none can misguide. Whoever Allah leads astray, none can guide. I testify there is no God but Allah alone, without any partners, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and His messenger. Allah Azza wa Jal said, O you who have faith, fear Allah as it is His right to be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Allah said, fear Allah from whom you ask each other and in your family ties, for Allah is ever watchful over you. And Allah said, fear Allah and speak words befitting. He will amend your deeds for you and forgive your sins. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger has achieved a great triumph. May Allah's blessings and mercy be upon our leader Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today, I'm going to talk to you about where our society is at today. And given the pandemic, you can imagine it's not necessarily a pretty picture. The broader trends in society indicate that there's greater stress, anxiety, and tension overall, and in our lives as individuals. And this is heightened due to the pandemic, but these were trends that were there even before the advent of COVID-19. And the root causes of this issue in American society are many. I mean, we live in a society where individuals grow distant from family and friends. And these relationships, and indeed all of their relationships, are mediated, filtered through electronic means. Social media and the screens that are so common in our lives. We live in a society where there is ever greater pressure on the family unit. Economic pressure, as we know, with inflation and the affordability crisis, and social pressure, with a culture, popular culture, that emphasizes and values individual desires and whims, puts them on a pedestal, and ignores the needs of family and community, which in fact are intertwined with the needs of the individual. And we can see that in the fraying, the tearing and breaking down of the American social fabric. In 2017, 5 years ago, the U.S. Surgeon General, in talking about loneliness in American society, declared it a quote-unquote epidemic. Now that's a strange way to talk about a social condition. right? And talking about problems in medical terms and medicalizing them is another topic for another day. But it shows that this is a very serious problem in American society. In fact, it's so serious that deaths of despair, those deaths that are related to drug and alcohol overdoses, suicides, have become in the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States and are growing in number year. It's extraordinary. So now, you may be asking yourself, who is this guy and why is he giving such a depressing look? Well, I'm Shaka Kamrak, and I'm going to cheer you up in a second. Because the question then becomes, when you look at this negative picture of where American society is going, there's a lot of truth to that. There is a ray of hope for us specifically as Muslims and as the Muslim community living in this society. Because we ask ourselves the question, okay, but what's the bottom line? How do we deal with this society that we live in? How do we, as husbands and wives, as fathers and mothers, as parents and children, as friends, as co-workers, cope with this? What's in our deen, in Islam, what guidance has Allah given us to deal with these challenges? And that's where we have hope. Because in each of the roles that I just mentioned, Allah has given us a shining example of how to deal with stress, day-to-day stress, as well as the extreme stress associated with some sort of crisis event. And really, at the first level, how do we deal with stress ourselves as individuals? And the best example is there for us is the best human of all time, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he experienced something that was the pinnacle of stress and crisis. And it's a story that we all know. It's the story of the first revelation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he had gone into seclusion. He was by himself in Ghar Hira, in the cave of Hira, outside of Mecca. And when he was by himself all alone, as you know, Jibreel alayhi salam revealed himself to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, the weight, the terrifying weight of that experience is referred to by Allah in the Quran, in Surah Al-Hashr, where he mentions that if the Quran had been revealed onto a mountain, the mountain would be obliterated by the weight of that responsibility. This is the weight of responsibility that came upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was unawares. In that dark cave, no one around for miles. Out of the darkness, he heard a voice that shook him to his very core. As you know, Jibreel alayhi salam told him, commanded him. Imagine hearing a command out of nowhere. Iqra. Repeated this command 3 times in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know, he's told us he was confused. He repeated it. I don't know how to recite. I don't know how to read. And the command was repeated onto him. And Jibreel alayhi salam repeated the command and overwhelmed him, squeezing him to the point where Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's breath was almost out. And then he recited, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Now the Arabic words of the Quran themselves have tremendous power. And that struck Muhammad with incredible force. We should pause for a moment And Moses considered the meaning of these words of the first revelation. Recite in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging substance. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man which he knew not. I mean, not only are the words of the Quran shaking Muhammad to the core, but this is a revelation of stupendous intellectual enlightenment. I mean, it would blow anybody's mind who heard it out of nowhere and understood its depth. So at every level, this is an incredibly overwhelming and stressful experience. And the story that Muhammad told us reflects this. Because when he left that cave, he ran down the mountain and he was full of anxiety. And the scholars of Sirah have told us that he feared that he had become possessed or had lost his mind. He didn't have any context for his experience that he was having. And on the way down the mountain, Jibreel alayhi salam revealed himself to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his full form. Now this experience goes to another level of intensity. Because everywhere that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked in the horizon, there was Jibreel alayhi salam. And Jibreel alayhi salam told him, you are not insane, but you are the messenger of God. I mean, imagine that experience. So we can just barely get it through what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us. And as he was rushing home, he entered and asked his wife to cover him. Now we can pause and think about, okay, how do you and I think about this experience of overwhelming anxiety? Well, the first thing you can do is realize that, subhanAllah, this is the greatest human that ever walked the earth. And he was afraid. And he was anxious. Which tells us it's okay. It's okay to feel fear and anxiety from time to time in our lives. It's okay even to be overwhelmed by that experience. It's part of the human experience. If it happened to Muhammad, then it'll happen to us. But the key is, how did he react? His first step was to go to someone that he trusted. He went to the person that he most trusted and sought help, and he sought trust. And that was our mother, Khadija radiallahu anha. So when we apply that to our own lives, say you're going through something that is incredibly stressful. Right? You're getting bad reviews at work, or maybe you got fired, or you have an exam and you haven't prepped for it, or you have to give a khutbah and you haven't done it yet. What is the first step? Seek help. It's okay, and you should. The example is in front of us, who sought help. He didn't carry the weight on his own shoulders alone. Allah has given us each other as resources. He's given us our spouses, our children, our parents, our friends as resources. Seek that out. Don't be alone. And we're going to come back to this in the second khutbah when we talk about parents and children dealing with stressful situations. But now we can go on to the example of a spouse. So what happens to us when our spouses come home with stress, or we go home with stress? You know, you say, "Oh my God, I got a bad review at work." Well, might your wife say, "Why? Why did you get a bad review at work?" "Oh my God, we need your money. The budget. How are we going to handle this? We need to get to pay the kids' tuition. We need to buy diapers." And let's put the example for the men here and say that you come home and your wife says, "Oh, I just forgot the dinner burned. What are we going to eat today? The children are not going to be able to eat. We're going to have to go outside and get food, and that's bad nutrition." What is this an example of? The opposite of what Khadija radiallahu anha did, which is you get stress, you're a spouse, and you get stress from your spouse, and you reflect it right back onto them. So now, you've absorbed it, you've felt it, and you've doubled the person's stress. Okay, so you may be asking, great, okay, so what are you telling me I should do then? Well, what Khadija radiallahu anha did was immediately reassure her senses. She did cover him. She responded to his stress. And she sought to calm him. And she reassured him that Allah would not abandon you to madness. You're a good man. But then what did she do with the knowledge of his stress? She didn't just give him empty reassurances. It's going to be fine, it's okay, let's just ignore it, let's just have it. No, she calmed him down. Then she sought counsel. She sought informed counsel. The spouse also looked for help. And she looked for help from somebody who knew. She went to her uncle, who was knowledgeable, Warqa bin Nawfal. And she asked him about the situation. Muhammad, my husband, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, has experienced this incredibly stressful event. I've reassured him, I've calmed him down, but help me understand. And for us as spouses, this is also a lesson. So for the day-to-day things, like, I got a bad review at work or the dinner burden, you can have some perspective and you can calm your spouse down. But say your spouse is experiencing anxiety or depression. You can calm them down and seek help. There are resources in our community, right? Or say your child is very worried about school and they're behind in their class. Calm them down. Seek help. Tutoring. That is the example of how a spouse would react. And there's one other incredible aspect to the story, and that is the example of Warqa bin Nawfal. This is an example of a third party, right? So what was Warqa bin Nawfal's advice? He reassured Prophet, you are indeed the prophet of God. But he also told him that your people would turn against you and turn you out. After he told him this worrying and even frightening news, Warqa bin Nawfal reassured him by telling Muhammad that even if he was alive, he would support him. He even kissed Muhammad's head. And what is this? So what is this third party, right? So third party means you're talking to a friend or you're talking to a coworker, right? Again, Warqa bin Nawfal didn't give, he was kind, but he didn't mince his words. He didn't just give a platitude to him or just like a meaningless, hey, it's okay, you're fine, don't worry about it. He gave him a true answer based on his knowledge, and he gave it to him straight. He gave it to him straight. He said, your people are going to turn you out. But he did so with kindness. He didn't hide anything, but he did so with kindness. He said, if I was here, if I'm still around, I will support you. And he even kissed his forehead. And this was the start of Muhammad's journey. This was the start of Islam, of our iteration of Islam. So subhanAllah, what is this? What is this an example of? It's an example of a social support network. Right? That's a fancy term for family and friends that help you get through things. And this is the beautiful example in the first event in Islam and the first event in Muhammad's revelation. In the second khutbah, we'll talk about how we as parents can face and deal with crises together. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. حول الله. Ask Allah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. So Allah Azza wa Jalla has shown us how to deal with ourselves when we're facing fear and anxiety, with the example of Prophet, how we can do so as spouses, and how we can do so as friends or co-workers, third parties. Now, subhanAllah, there is an amazing example for us, in front of us for parents and children dealing with difficult and stressful situations. And here there's actually a very important difference between the Quranic story and the biblical version of the story. And I'm talking about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. So in the Quran, Allah tells us that when Ismail alayhi salam reached the age of maturity, Ibrahim alayhi salam told him about a vision that he had had. And this is in Surah Al-Safat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلما بلغ معه السعي قال يا بني إني أرى في المنام إني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى قال يا أبت افعل ما تؤمر ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. And when he reached with him the age of exertion, he said, "O my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you, so see what you think." He, Ismail alayhi salam, said, "O my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, of the steadfast and application." I think we have to stop here for a moment and think about this. What trust! What incredible trust did this father have to share, Ibrahim alayhi salam, to share with his son, Ismail alayhi salam, the full scope of the burden that Allah put on his shoulders. An incredible burden. And this is here where there is a difference between the Quran and the biblical narrative. In the Bible, Abraham does not tell his son. In the Bible, it's Isaac is his father, but that's different. He does not tell the son of his burden, and he carries it alone. But in the Quran, Allah is giving us the example about how, as parents and children, we share each other's burden. And look at the example of Ismail alayhi salam. He trusted his dad. His dad trusted him, so he trusted his dad. And he said, "Satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin." That I know you're doing what has come to you from Allah. I know you, my father. I trust you. So do what you must. You'll find me amongst the patients. And Allah rewarded them. And now from their lineage came Muhammad. And from their lineage came all of us, all the believers in the Muslims today. And this is SubhanAllah. So in conclusion, yes, we live at a time and a place where there's a lot of stress going around. But, alhamdulillah, Allah has given us the examples of our leaders, of Muhammad ﷺ dealing with stress as himself, seeking help and turning to Allah. That's what the other thing Khadija radiallahu anha did. She reassured him with remembrance of Allah. As a spouse, reassuring and seeking help. As a third party, as a friend or co-worker, giving advice to the best of your knowledge and doing so in a kind way. And as parents and children, when dealing with crisis, the foundation must be trust. You have to build that over time. So, alhamdulillah, Allah has given us these examples and has given us the tools to deal with the difficulties that we face with in our society. And inshallah, we will continue to look at ways that we can cultivate this type of patience in ourselves and future purpose. We ask Allah to protect us and our families, to give us strength to come closer to Him. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا Ya Allah, please bestow upon us your mercy and resolve all of our affairs as families and as communities in the very best way. Ya Allah, grant us the best in this life and the best in the akhirah. Protect us from your punishments and let us live and die on this land. Ameen. Aqim as-salam.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
I just want to let you guys know about the ongoing degree programs that we have for all ages at ISLUB. So on Sundays we have a kids program titled Sunday Story Time for ages then we have a middle school program, and that is for 6th to 8th grade, which is also taking place at ISWB at the same time. So Sundays 10 a.m. to 11:15. We also have the youth group, which is geared towards high school students, which is taking place also ISWB on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we also have just 101 to